Joshua chapter 7. The sacrilege of Achan. The Israelites did not keep the solemn ban. It happened that Achan, son of Carmi, son of Zabdi, son of Zerah of the tribe of Judah, appropriated for himself some of the things that were under the ban. And because of this the anger of the Lord burned against the Israelites. Joshua sent men from Jericho to Ai, which was near Bethaven, east of the city of Bethel, and he said to them, Go up and explore the land. They went up and explored Ai. The spies said to Joshua on their return, It would not be necessary to mobilize the whole army. Some 2,000 or 3,000 men will be enough to conquer the land. It would be useless to tire the people, for they are but few in number. So about 3,000 men attacked Ai, but were repulsed by the city's defenders. The people of Ai killed some 36 men and pursued them outside the gate as far as Cherubim, defeating them on the slopes. Upon seeing this, all the people were disheartened. Then Joshua and all the leaders of Israel rent their garments, put ashes on their heads, and remained prostrate before the ark of the Lord until evening. Joshua lamented, Alas, Lord God, why have you made these people cross the river Jordan just to give us into the hands of the Amorites who will destroy us? It would have been better for us to remain on the other side of the Jordan. Lord my God, what can I say when I see Israel fleeing from their enemies? The Canaanites and all the inhabitants of the country will know of this. They will unite to surround us and drive us out, and you know what you are going to do for the honor of your name. The Lord answered, Stand up. Why are you prostrate on the ground? Israel sinned and has violated my covenant which I enjoined on them. They have taken from what was set apart by solemn ban and have hidden stolen objects with their belongings. That is why Israel cannot face its enemies. If they flee from them, it is because they have violated the ban. I will not be with you anymore unless you remove from your midst every single thing that was under the ban. Go then and sanctify the people. Say to them, Sanctify yourselves for tomorrow. The Lord, the God of Israel, says to you, O Israel, there are forbidden things in your midst, and you shall not face your enemies until you have removed them from you. Therefore in the morning you shall come near, grouped according to tribes. The tribe that the Lord designates by lot shall present itself by families, and the family that the Lord designates shall present itself by households, and the household by individuals. He who turns out to be responsible for this offense shall be burned, together with all his possessions, for having violated the covenant of the Lord and having done a detestable crime in Israel. Joshua rose early in the morning and ordered the tribes of Israel to present themselves. The lots fell on the tribe of Judah. He summoned the tribe of Judah, and lots were drawn among the families, and the family of Zerah was picked out. Lots were drawn among the households of his family, and the household of Zabdi was picked out. And then lots were drawn among the members of this household, which revealed that the guilty one was Achan, son of Carmi, son of Zabdi, son of Zerah of the tribe of Judah. Joshua then said to him, My son, confess the truth before the Lord, the God of Israel, and render him praise. Tell me what you have done without hiding anything. Achan answered, It is true that I have sinned against the Lord. This is what I have done. I saw among the plunder a beautiful mantle from Shinar, 200 shekels of silver, and a bar of gold weighing 50 shekels. I was tempted, so I took them. Then I hid them in the ground inside my tent, with the silver underneath. Joshua then sent some messengers who ran to the tent of Achan and found the booty inside the tent with the silver underneath. They took all these and presented them to Joshua and to the people. Everything was spread out before the Lord. Then Joshua took Achan, together with the silver, the mantle and the gold, his sons as well as his daughters, his oxen, asses and sheep, his tent, and all that he had. All Israel accompanied him, and they brought them to the valley of Achor. There Joshua said to him, Since you brought us misfortune, may the Lord bring this misfortune upon you today. Then all the people stoned him to death, and after they had stoned his family, they burned them. And of those that were his, some were crushed and others were burned. They piled on him a great heap of stones that remains to this day. Then the Lord turned from his anger. That is why the place was called the Valley of Achor. Joshua chapter 8. Joshua conquers Ai. Then the Lord said to Joshua, Do not fear or be discouraged. March with all your warriors against the city of Ai. I have given into your hands its kings and its people, the city and its territory. You shall deal with Ai as you have dealt with Jericho and its king. But you may take possession of the plunder and all the animals. So now prepare an ambush behind the city. So Joshua left with all his warriors and went up to Ai. Then he chose 30,000 valiant warriors and sent them out by night, and he commanded them, Lie in ambush behind the city. Do not go very far and be ready. I and all the people who are with me shall close in on the city. But when they come out against us as they did before, we shall flee from them. Then they will pursue us and go out far from the city, thinking that we are fleeing from them as before. But then you shall rise from where you are hiding and occupy the city. The Lord our God will give it to us. After taking the city, you shall burn it according to what the Lord has commanded. These are my orders. Then Joshua sent them out, and they went to the place of ambush between Bethel and Ai, to the west of the city, while Joshua spent that night in the midst of his people. Very early in the morning Joshua rose and mustered his army, and then marched at the head of the people to Ai, accompanied by the leaders. All the warriors who were with him went up and marched until they reached the front of the city. Then they encamped opposite the northern side of the city. The valley separated them from the city. Then he took 5,000 men whom he set in ambush between Bethel and Ai, and to the west of the city. The people then set up their camp to the north of the city and their rear guard to the west. That night Joshua was in the valley. When the king of Ai saw the situation, he made haste with all his people to attack Israel on the slope facing the Arabah, without knowing that the Israelites had prepared an ambush behind the city. Joshua and the Israelites pretended that they were being defeated, and so fled to the road leading to the wilderness. Then all the men in the city were called to pursue them, and as they pursued Joshua, they were getting further away from the city. Every man in Ai or Bethel went after the Israelites, leaving the city wide open and with no one to protect it. Then the Lord said to Joshua, Stretch out toward Ai the javelin you have in your hand, because I am about to give you the city. Joshua stretched out the javelin in his hand towards the city, and as soon as he did so, the warriors in ambush rose out of their places and ran to the city. They entered and seized the city and set it on fire. The men of Ai looked back and saw the smoke from the city rising to the sky, and they lost their courage to escape in any direction, as they were trapped by the Israelites. For the Israelites who were fleeing turned back upon them. When Joshua and all the Israelites saw that the city had been taken by the warriors in ambush and was going up in smoke, they struck back at the men of Ai. Since those in the city came out against them, the men of Ai were hemmed in by Israelites on either side, who cut them down without any fugitives or survivors, except the king of Ai, who was taken alive and brought to Joshua. All the inhabitants of Ai who pursued the Israelites into the wilderness were slain by the sword, either in the field or in the desert, down to the last man. Then all the Israelites returned to the city and killed all by the sword. The total of those who fell that day, both men and women, was 12,000, the entire population of Ai. Joshua did not draw back the hand with which he stretched out the javelin until all the inhabitants of Ai had been killed in accordance with the solemn ban. But the Israelites took for themselves the livestock and the plunder of that city, as the Lord had commanded Joshua. Joshua burned the city and left it in ruins. That place has remained so to this day. As for the king of Ai, Joshua had him hanged on a tree until the sun set. Then he had his body taken down. They cast it at the entrance of the city and raised over it a great heap of stones which can be seen to this day. Covenant renewal at Mount Ebal. Joshua then built an altar to the Lord the God of Israel on Mount Ebal. He fulfilled what Moses had commanded the people of Israel, and according to what is written in the book of the law of Moses, the altar was made of uncut stones and was built without the use of an iron tool. On this altar he offered burnt offerings and peace offerings to the Lord. There in the presence of the Israelites he wrote upon the stone a copy of the law which Moses had written. All the people stood on both sides of the ark with their leaders, officials and judges. Opposite it were the Levitical priests who carried the ark of the Lord. Israelites by birth and resident aliens were together. Half the people were in front of Mount Gerizim and the other half were near Mount Ebal, according to Moses' commandment for the blessing of Israel. Joshua proceeded to read the words of blessing and curse, and all that is written in the book of the law. He did not omit any word from all that was written by Moses. He read it with a loud voice before the assembly of Israel, including women, children, and aliens who lived among them. Psalm chapter 91. A night prayer. If you dwell in the shelter of the Most High and rest in the shadow of the Almighty, you can say to the Lord, my stronghold, my refuge, my God in whom I trust. He will rescue you from the foul snare and from the deadly pestilence. He will cover you with his pinions and give you refuge under his wings. His faithfulness will be your shield. You shall not fear the terror of the night, nor the arrows that fly by day, the pestilence that stalks by night, nor the plague that destroys at noonday. 1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 at your right hand, but nothing shall touch you. Instead, with your own eyes you will see how the wicked are repaid. If you have made the Lord your refuge, the Most High your stronghold, no harm will come upon you, no disaster will draw near your tent. For he will command his angels to guard you in all your ways. They will lift you up with their hands so that your foot will not hit a stone. You will tread upon the lion and the viper, you will trample underfoot the lion and the snake. Because he clings to me in love, I will rescue him, says the Lord. I will protect him, for he knows my name. When he calls to me, I will answer. In time of trouble, I will be with him. I will deliver and honor him. I will satisfy him with long life and show him my salvation. Luke chapter 6, verse 27 to 49. Love for enemies. But I say to you who hear me, love your enemies, who do good to those who hate you. Bless those who curse you and pray for those who treat you badly. To the one who strikes you on the cheek, turn the other cheek. From the one who takes your cloak, do not keep your tunic. Give to the one who asks, and if anyone has taken something from you, do not demand it back. Do to others what you would have others do to you. If you love only those who love you, what credit can you claim? Even sinners love those who love them. If you do favors to those who do you favors in return, what credit can you claim? Even sinners do the same. If you lend only when you expect to get back what you have lent, what credit can you claim? For sinners also lend to sinners, expecting to be repaid in full. But love your enemies and do good to them, and lend without expecting anything back. Then will your reward be great, and you will be children of the Most High, for He is kind towards the ungrateful and the wicked. Be merciful, just as your Father is merciful. On judging others. Do not judge others, and you will not be judged. Do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Give, and it will be given to you, a good measure, pressed down, shaken up, and running over will be poured into your lap. For the measure you use for others will be the measure God will use for you. And Jesus offered this example. Can a blind man lead another blind man? Surely both will fall into a ditch. No disciple is above his master. If he lets himself be fully trained, he will be like his master. Why do you see a speck in your brother's eye, but take no notice of the plank in your own? How can you say to your brother, Brother, let me take this speck out of your eye, when you yourself cannot see the plank in your own? You hypocrite! First remove the plank from your own eye, and then you will see clearly enough to remove the speck from your brother's eye. A tree and its fruit. No good tree bears bad fruit, no bad tree bears good fruit, and each tree is known by the fruit it bears. You do not gather figs from thorns or grapes from brambles. Similarly, a good person draws the good things from the store of goodness in his heart, and an evil person draws evil things from the evil in his heart. For the mouth speaks of what the heart is full of. Why do you call me Lord, Lord, and not do what I say? What comparison can I use for the one who comes to me and listens to my words and acts according to them? He is like the builder who dug deep and laid the foundation of his house on rock. The river flooded and the torrents dashed against the house, but could not shake it because the house had been built on rock. But if anyone listens and does not act, he is like a man who built his house on the ground without a foundation. As soon as the flood burst against it, the house fell, and what a terrible ruin that was.